and welcome to Sierra Make. As you probably guessed from the title, this week I'm turning this pair of pants into a two-piece set. I bought these pants a while ago, and I wore them once and then realized they're way too long. There was so much extra fabric at the bottom, so I needed to hem them. And I figured since there was so much extra fabric, I could use that to make a top. So that's exactly what I did. First, of course, I marked where I wanted the hem to be with a safety pin, and it was about 4 inches from the bottom. So, making sure that the fabric's all nice and lined up, I cut off the strip off of both sides of the pants, and I will save that for later. First, we will hem the bottom of these, though. So, to hem the bottom of these pants, I'm just folding the fabric in on itself, hiding that raw edge on the inside of the hem, and making sure that it is the same size all the way through the pant. Basically, so it doesn't get wider at certain spots or smaller at certain spots. Of course, you always have to check to make sure it's hanging right before you sew it, because you really want that hem to be straight. Because this fabric is really stretchy and flowy, I decided to try and use the stretch stitch on the sewing machine. So I had to switch the length to that stretch option and all of the other presets that it recommends for the stitch. And we'll see how it goes because it's my first time using this. Oh man, that's what I thought. Dang it. So this fabric is so thin and stretchy, it kept getting caught in the little sewing hole. I wasn't sure how to fix this, maybe change the tension, but then it wouldn't really sew correctly, so I just did what I could and was very careful. Now moving on to the more creative and fun part of this project, which is the top. I knew that I didn't have a whole lot of fabric, so I went for a simple, easy top design. So I took a bathing suit top that I have and just traced it out onto my parchment paper to make a very simple pattern. I just need a basic shape, something that I know will fit me that I could play around with later. I also added some small labels on the pattern, the bottom, the outer, and the inner side of it, just so that I knew where to place it. As you can see, I only have those 4 inches of fabric, so I'm going to have to split the pattern down the center and sew it together later on. Also, just to get a little bit more extra fabric, I seam ripped the bottom of one of the pants legs so that I could have everything that was in that hem. Please ignore the fact that my head is fully in this shot. Seam ripping is one of my least favorite things, and I kind of just sit and crouch when I do it. But now that I have all of that fabric opened up, I'm going to lay out my pattern, which just luckily fit it almost perfectly, which was fantastic. So I just am pinning it to the fabric, and also reminder, this fabric is doubled up, so I'm getting 2 pieces when I cut these out, and one will be the left and one will be the right side. I'm making sure to leave space for seam allowance, and I also ended up just kind of leaving as much extra fabric on the pieces as I could, because more fabric the better. I didn't want it to look exactly like a bathing suit top. And it would also allow me to play around with the design a bit more. Here, I'm just cutting off the original pants seam, and then I'm making sure that they are the same height, and here are the main pieces of our top. Time to sew it together, so make sure that the wrong side or the ugly side of the fabric is facing outward, because you want the seam to be on the inside of the shirt. And we're just going to do that same stretch stitch to connect these 2 pieces together. First, I have to pin it up, which is one of my least favorite things to do because it takes so much time, but it really makes sure that the fabric doesn't move, especially with this flowy material. There, it's all sewn up, so now that I have the base of my top, it's time to use that extra fabric to make a waistband, since I still have a little bit of extra fabric. One thing I'm not sure of, though, is if this one pants leg will fit as the full waistband, or if I have to cut it in half and sew it together to make a bigger waistband. So I'm going to take the pants leg and just try it on and see if it fits, which it seems like it does, kind of just barely. So I'm going to take those top triangle pieces and I'm just going to pin them to my shirt. I don't have a, what's it called, a body form or whatever those seamstresses use, so I'm just going to use my actual body. So right now I'm just marking with a safety pin where the edge of that triangle top will end and deciding what I want the front of it to look like, folded over, tied, I don't know. So just a quick measure where that safety pin's at. It's about 1 inch from the hem, so now I can take it out so it doesn't get in my way of the cutting. So right now, I'm actually cutting out what I will use as the straps. Just cutting off the little seam on the pants on both sides, and I really lucked out because these strips are just long enough to make a strap, something that just barely fits over my shoulder. Taking that little strip, the wrong side facing outward, I'm just going to sew it together with that stretch stitch, as you can see here. And here's a little trick. I'm going to take a safety pin and pin it to one side of the fabric, and then I'm going to weave it through the tube. It's just small enough to fit through, and this way I can flip the strap inside out, hiding that seam on the inside and making a beautiful little straps tube thingy. Woo! Look at that. Nice. Time to do it to the other one. So now that we have our cute little straps, it's time to do some more sewing of the top. Oh no, I only have a little bit left and I still have to sew so much. So I guess I have to switch out the thread. This is the only one that's kind of in the same tone, I guess. Whatever. Moving on, we are going to hem up the top of this top. This side I'm pinning now, I had cut curved, but honestly I probably should have just cut it straight because it would have made the hemming so much easier. And I'm just going to carefully put in my strap, folding the fabric over it, wrapping it around so that it's really secure, and pin that in place. And then just continue down to the front of the shirt and onto the other side. We will sew it up using the same stretch stitch and sew those two pieces together, attaching it to the waistband as well. Here's my least favorite part, all of the pinning, making sure that the wrong side of the fabric is facing outward, and I'm also going to pin that seam open so that it lays flat. And remember, we wanted the outer edge of that triangle top to be about 1 inch from the pants leg waistband seam. There's our beautiful stretch stitch. So now for the very last thing, I forgot to hem the back of the top. Ta-da! There is our beautiful top. So I did consider sewing the straps down, but I figured a tie would be more adjustable. So now let's put it on.
Shadow on you.
Oh.
Anyways. Damn ankles. Ah.
You're having a lot of fun. And this is the end of the video. So please hit the like button if you thought this video was any good. Comment down below if you liked the outfit, and please subscribe because it helps me out and it lets me know you like what I'm doing. Also, since you've stuck around this long, I'm going to give you a little sneak peek of next week's video. That's right, it is this jacket. It is unfinished on me right now, but I will show you the finished product next week, Friday at 3. Thank you for watching!